Hey friends, what's going on? So a quick warm-up exercise I want to show you in this video today, right? So in this one we're going to be taking this basic chord progression, right? E, A, and B, standard bluesy kind of sound. This strumming pattern, nothing too stellar here, right? But what we're going to do is we're going to make this interesting by adding a little bit of a unique melodic phrase to the E major we're going to be playing. And specifically, we're going to be playing this E major. Instead of using all 6 strings, as you normally would, we're going to just be focusing on the thinnest 4 strings. We're going to play them with our middle and index fingers here, and that's going to free up these 2 fingers to add some sort of melody flourish notes. That's going to be on the 2nd string, 2nd and 3rd fret, right? And you know, you normally can't do that super comfortably when you're doing the 6th string E, so that's why we're doing this sort of 4-string version, and we can do something like this, right? Add this little phrase to the E. So we're going to take that phrase and we're going to incorporate it into the progression I showed you, right? And what that's going to do is it's just going to add a bit of just melodic character to this otherwise would-be sort of simple strumming sort of sequence here. So that's what I'm going to cover in this lesson. Again, the cool thing to practice here is going to be this 4-string version of the E. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the sort of different versions of the chords that makes possible. I'm going to talk about taking the A, you know, whether you want to do an A or an A7 or this A7. Add some interest there, and then finally we have this B, B7 to be precise, and we can sort of slide our pinky up from that 2nd fret on the high E string to the 3rd fret, back to the 2nd, right? Okay, and in the end, you're going to have a nice little circular, bluesy sounding groove that combines strumming with this sort of melodic fill. So it's a great thing to practice. I should note this is based on the Father John Misty song, I'm Writing a Novel, right? It's sort of inspired very much by the lead guitar you hear in the background of that song. It's very subtle, but you hear it going, right? While he's playing the E. And I took up my guitar a couple years ago and I was into that album and I thought, you know, how can I capture that sound but when I'm playing all by myself? Now, as always, remember you can get the PDF on my website, playsongnotes.com. It's a very handy way for you to sort of access all the notes I'm showing you in this lesson. Outside of this video, got some nice pictures in there to teach you these chord shapes. And again, there's all kinds of cool ways you can apply this stuff. But thanks to all of you who are supporting me on Patreon through the tip jar and otherwise, it's very much appreciated. But let's get into the lesson otherwise. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about here is, let's look at the chords, okay? This is the sort of real cool takeaway here is, start with the E major chord. You know, normally you would play it like this, all 6 strings, right? Pretty standard stuff, right? But what we're going to do is instead of using, you know, our middle finger on the 5th string and our ring finger on the 4th string, we're going to move our middle finger to the 4th string and our index finger on the 3rd string, okay? So that's 2nd fret, 1st fret, open, open on the thinnest 4 strings. So that's basically the thinnest 4 strings of the E major chord, but again, notice it's going to keep these fingers free, okay? And a good thing to practice, what you can do is you can pluck that low E string bass note and then just strum the thinnest 4 strings if you want. I'm actually sort of, I tend to move my middle finger into the 5th string, so even if I play the 5th string by accident, it's kind of muted because this finger is touching it, right? But that's sort of the basic 4-string E major we're going to be doing. But let's make it interesting by adding our left ring and left pinky fingers to some other stuff here. So we could take our left ring finger, put it on the 2nd fret of the 2nd string. This is like an E add 6, I guess. Okay, it's very comfortable to do this with this sort of finger voicing right here. We also can put our pinky down on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. This is an E7. What I would recommend doing initially is just get comfortable going between those 3 shapes, right? The E add 6, and the E7. Okay, that's basically the shapes we'll be using there. There's also going to be some other shapes. You know, I have this A, regular A. An A7 is just taking any of your fingers off that third string. So it's open, second, open, second, open. And the important one here is this A7 where we're gonna put a G on the third fret of the thinnest string. So open, second, third. And this note's gonna be very important for the sort of sequence I'm gonna be showing you, right? Okay, get used to putting the pinky on and taking it off. Then there's the B7, right? Second fret, first fret, second fret, open, second fret. And if you can, try to slide that pinky up to the third fret of the high E string. And then go back to where it came from, right? And by itself, it doesn't sound too stellar, but what we're gonna do is combine it in the progression, and it's gonna sound kind of neat because this becomes a note we're gonna play quite a bit between the A7 and the B7. Okay, so those are the chords we're gonna have, right? You got your 4-string E, the E add 6, the E7. You can go to the A or the A7. Using a regular E here, but I'm gonna go back to the B7 in a minute. Here we go. All right, so those are gonna be the chords. And now, really quick, let's look at the progression I'm gonna be using here. So we're gonna be on, here's what it looks like, right? Every time you see a chord name or a slash, that means play 4 counts of that chord, right? So it's gonna be on E for 4 measures, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 4 times, and then A. 1, 2, 3, 4, A7. Then back to E, right? And we're gonna add the riff in a minute here, but let's just get the basic progression going. And the B7's coming up. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 to A7. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 measures E. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's gonna be what we're gonna repeat, right? Now, the strumming pattern I was doing, I was just kind of tending to favor a down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. But I recommend if you can, try putting a bit of accent on the 2 and the 4 count, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 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 we're gonna use that strumming pattern with the chord progression I just showed you, and then we're gonna add the riff on top of it whenever we're playing the E. So I'm gonna show you the riff next, but again, the big picture of the chord progression here is wherever you have these 4 bars of the E in a row, that's where the riff's gonna happen, right? So in the end, it's gonna be a nice sort of distinctive sound that we're gonna come back to time and again when we're playing this circular thing. So let's look at this riff now. So if you were to look at the tab here, I'm not tabbing out all the strums. I'm more concerned about, you know, the measures. You know, you're on E for this many measures and everything, and then this is where you do the riff, right? So the idea is you have this E, you know, playing the thinnest 4 strings, and then we're gonna basically be going from the third to second to third to second, and then the open B string is the implied last note, right? That's the riff. Okay, I'm actually gonna sort of play the 3rd fret twice for the first 2 notes of that sort of melody. Whoops. Right? And if you were to count it out, it would be 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 2, 3, 4, right? So those first 2 plucks are gonna happen on the and count, the 4 and then the 1 and, right? And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, okay? So that's gonna be it. Now let me practice bringing in the strumming with this, right? So we're gonna be going like this. Okay, so that's the sort of strumming combined with the sort of riff I just showed you there. Keep the strumming as simple or take it as complicated as you want, but don't feel like you need to mimic what I'm doing, right? Down, up, down, 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 up, 1, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up. Okay, that's what I'm doing, but again, you can keep it as simple as you want. That's sort of a simpler version. All down strums. Okay? Now from there, what we're gonna do is move on over to the A. I kind of tend to play the A7 without the high E string being played for the first two measures. Down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up. Then I bring in the pinky note. And that's gonna be for two measures there. 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2. And you go back to the E, okay? So we're gonna repeat the E riff there, then we're gonna go to that B7, A7, and that's the E is gonna be our sort of reset, right? And you can just sort of keep doing that E riff on the final four measures and then repeat the whole thing. If you want to end the whole thing, you could end it with a nice E7 chord, right? Which is the 6th-string E with our pinky on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. That makes a nice ending to this thing, right? But then the whole sequence together would sound like this. All right, so that's gonna be it for this one. Again, I just want to impart upon you this possibility of instead of playing E like this, which only gives you your pinky to work with, and it's kind of like limited in its movement since you have these 3 fingers anchored down. Instead, you can play the E with just 2 fingers, only worry about the thinnest 4 strings. Maybe you can add the 6th string if you're brave and sort of strum around the 5th string. And what that does is it frees up these other fingers. All kinds of cool stuff. And even beyond this one warm-up exercise, there's been lots of songs where I've used this sort of technique and it's been very handy for me. So take that, take a simple bluesy progression, take a nice strumming pattern, and you can sort of work out a nice circular thing you can just warm up with, have some fun with, and get some practice in. So I hope you dug this lesson. Check out the website if you want to get the PDF. Again, it's a great way to sort of keep track of this and all the other sort of lessons I'm putting out. Great way to follow outside of these videos. But with that, I'm gonna leave you to it, my friends. Have a great one. Thanks again for watching this far. Really appreciate it. And hope you're having a good one wherever you are. Take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.